stop right there and give me just a few minutes, because what I'm about to share with you could save you from unnecessary pain, wasted money, and even health risks that most doctors won't warn you about. If you're over 70, you've probably been told over and over again to go in for every possible test, every possible scan, every possible checkup under the sun. The medical industry thrives on checkups. They've made it seem like the more tests you do, the healthier you'll be. But the truth is, once you cross into your 70s, some of these so-called routine checkups don't help you anymore. In fact, some can harm you far more than they'll ever help. And if you've lived long enough to know that not every shiny thing sold to you is good for you, you're going to want to lean in and listen closely. Because I'm about to walk you through the 5 health checkups you should think twice about after 70. The ones that can lead to false alarms, dangerous treatments, and more suffering than solutions. And don't worry, I'm not going to just tell you what to avoid. I'm also going to show you what you should do instead so you can take control of your health, save your peace of mind, and keep enjoying life in America the way you deserve. Let's begin with a simple truth. The older we get, the more the medical system sees us as profitable. Harsh maybe, but true. Hospitals, clinics, and insurance companies know that seniors are the most frequent visitors. And while there are many doctors out there who truly want to help, the system itself often pushes unnecessary tests that don't add years to your life. They add dollars to someone else's pocket. Imagine sitting in a waiting room for hours, stressed, worried, then going through a scan that shows a tiny shadow that might be nothing at all. Suddenly, you're being sent from one specialist to another, poked, prodded, and scared half to death, all because of a test you never really needed at your age. That's not healthcare. That's fear care. Now, the first checkup you need to be very cautious about after 70 is the colonoscopy. For decades, doctors have told people to get colonoscopies starting in their 50s, and for many people that advice made sense. Colon cancer is real, and early detection can save lives. But here's the problem. Once you pass 70, the risks of a colonoscopy begin to outweigh the benefits. The procedure requires sedation, and sedation in older adults can cause memory problems, confusion, and in some cases long-term cognitive decline. On top of that, the prep for a colonoscopy, where you have to flush out your entire system with powerful laxatives, can leave seniors dangerously dehydrated, throw off electrolyte balance, and even send some to the hospital. And here's the kicker: colon cancers grow slowly. If you've been getting regular screenings before 70 and nothing alarming showed up, the chances of suddenly developing a deadly colon cancer after 70 are very low. What's more likely is that you'll have a complication from the test itself. I'll tell you a quick story to bring this home. A gentleman from Texas named Harold, 73 years old, had been perfectly fine. He was active, still drove his truck, still went fishing every weekend. His doctor insisted he go in for a colonoscopy, just to be safe. Well, Harold went in, and after the test, he didn't feel right. He was confused, dizzy, and within a week his family noticed his memory was slipping. The sedation had triggered what doctors call post-operative cognitive dysfunction. It never fully reversed. A man who was sharp as a tack before the test was suddenly struggling with the simplest things. The irony: his results were completely clean. He never needed that colonoscopy. He lost more than he gained. And that story isn't rare. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying nobody should ever get a colonoscopy. If you're 50, 60, even late 60s, and you've never had one, it can still be an important tool. But after 70, especially if you've been screened regularly before, it's usually not worth the risk. What's a better alternative? Talking with your doctor about less invasive tests, like a stool test, which can give useful information without putting your brain or body through the stress of sedation and prep. Remember, being wise with your health means knowing when to say yes and when to say no. The second checkup that can be more harmful than helpful after 70 is the PSA test for prostate cancer. Now, gentlemen, this one is tricky because prostate cancer is real and it does affect many men. But the problem with the PSA test is that it often finds cancers that would never have caused you any trouble in your lifetime. Prostate cancers can be extremely slow growing. You might live 20 more years with it and never know it's there, never feel a symptom, never be harmed. But the test doesn't tell you that. It only tells you that something might be wrong. And then what happens? Suddenly you're scared, your family is scared, and the doctors start talking about biopsies, radiation, or surgery. These treatments can leave men incontinent, unable to control their bladder, or impotent, unable to enjoy intimacy. Imagine trading your freedom, your dignity, and your quality of life, all to fight something that was never going to kill you in the first place. I'll never forget a story I heard from a veteran in Florida, 81 years old. He had been through the PSA merry-go-round. Every test came back a little higher. Every doctor pushed him toward another biopsy. He finally went through radiation. It left him weak, tired, and embarrassed to go out in public because of the side effects. And do you know what happened? 10 years later, he passed away peacefully in his sleep from natural causes. His prostate cancer had never grown enough to hurt him. What really hurt him was the treatment, not the disease. This is the danger of over-testing. It's not just about the test itself. It's about the cascade of fear and treatments that follow. That's why the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force actually advises against routine PSA screening in men over 70. And that's a rare case where the government actually makes sense. What's a smarter move? Focus on your symptoms. If you're urinating normally, not in pain, and living your life without trouble, you probably don't need the test. But if something does feel off, then it's worth talking about with your doctor. Don't let a number on a lab sheet decide your future. The third checkup that becomes risky after 70 is the mammogram. Ladies, this one hits home for many of you. Breast cancer is a scary word, and mammograms have long been presented as a lifesaver, and for younger women they can be. But after 70, mammograms are far less effective. The older you get, the slower breast cancers tend to grow. Many of the lumps found in older women are not life-threatening. But the mammogram doesn't know that. It just finds them. And once again, the cycle begins. Biopsies, surgery, radiation, endless appointments, all for something that might never have hurt you in the first place. Meanwhile, the stress, the fear, and the side effects take away your peace and your golden years. One study showed that for every life saved by mammograms in women over 70, many more women were harmed by overdiagnosis and unnecessary treatments. That's a hard truth, but it's one you deserve to know. And you know what else? Mammograms are uncomfortable, even painful, for many women. You've lived 70+ years. You shouldn't have to suffer needlessly for a test that may not benefit you anymore. Does this mean women should stop caring about breast health after 70? Absolutely not. What it means is that instead of blindly following routine mammograms, you should focus on knowing your own body. Pay attention to how you feel. If something changes, if you notice a lump or discomfort, then that's the time to see a doctor. But don't let yourself be pressured into an automatic schedule of mammograms if you're otherwise healthy and symptom-free. The truth is, good health after 70 is about quality of life, not constant searching for problems that might not even exist. You've worked hard your whole life, raised families, built careers, served your country, paid your taxes. You deserve peace, not constant medical anxiety. And knowing which tests to step away from is one of the best ways to reclaim that peace. When we talk about harmful checkups after 70, we can't ignore the fourth one on the list, bone density scans. Now, on the surface, this one sounds harmless. After all, it's just an X-ray, right? No needles, no sedation, no long prep. But here's the catch: bone density scans can set off a chain of events that are far more damaging than the scan itself. Doctors often use these scans to push seniors into long-term medications called bisphosphonates. Maybe you've heard the names Fosamax, Boniva, Actonal. They're supposed to strengthen your bones and prevent fractures. But what they don't tell you is that these drugs can actually make your bones more brittle in the long run. They change the way bone tissue repairs itself, and the side effects. They can cause jaw problems so severe that some people literally lose parts of their jawbone. They can cause strange thigh fractures that happen with no warning, no fall, no accident. You're just standing there, and suddenly your leg gives out, and they can cause severe stomach issues that leave people miserable. So what happens? You go in for a quick scan. The doctor says, "Oh, your bones are thinning. Let's get you on medication right away." You say yes, because who wants to risk a hip fracture? And then, instead of saving you, the medicine becomes its own disease. And here's the bigger truth: bone density naturally declines as we age. It doesn't mean you're doomed to break bones. The biggest factor in fractures isn't bone density at all, it's falling. Falls break bones. And what really prevents falls is strength, balance, and awareness. That's why seniors who stay active, walking, doing light strength training, practicing balance exercises, often stay upright and safe far longer than those who just take pills. Let me tell you a story about a woman named Margaret from Kansas. She was 75, independent, still loved gardening and cooking Sunday dinners for her family. She went in for a bone density scan because her doctor said it was time. The scan showed osteopenia, which basically means mild bone thinning. That word scared her. The doctor prescribed medication immediately. Within months, Margaret was struggling with constant stomach pain. A year later, she suffered a spontaneous thigh fracture while stepping off a curb, caused by the very medication she was told would protect her. After that, she was in a wheelchair for months. The saddest part, if she had never gone for that scan, she might have just kept right on living and moving. She never had a single fracture before the medication. The scan and the treatment that followed stole more from her than it ever gave. So, should you ignore bone health after 70? Absolutely not. But here's the better way: focus on diet, exercise, and lifestyle. Make sure you're getting enough calcium and vitamin D through real food, things like leafy greens, dairy if your body tolerates it, or fortified alternatives. Spend some time in the sunshine. Do simple exercises like chair squats, walking, and stretching. All of these strengthen both your bones and your muscles, giving you real-world protection against falls. And if you've already been told your bones are thinning, remember, you're not fragile glass. You are stronger than you think, and movement, not medication, is the real key to protecting yourself. Now, let's move to the fifth checkup you should think twice about after 70: routine full-body scans like CT scans, MRIs, or PET scans, just to be safe. This one has exploded in popularity in recent years because of private clinics and advertisements promising peace of mind. You've seen the billboards: catch cancer early! Prevent disease before it starts! Get your full body scan today! Sounds tempting, doesn't it? But here's the truth. They're one of the biggest traps in modern medicine. Full body scans can find all sorts of little things in your body that look suspicious but are totally harmless. Doctors call them uncidentalomas, tiny spots on the lung, small cysts on the kidney, little nodules in the thyroid. 99 times out of 100, these things never cause harm. But once a scan finds them, the medical machine kicks into high gear. Suddenly you're sent for biopsies, surgeries, endless follow-ups, and in some cases, aggressive treatments for something that never needed treatment at all. Not to mention the radiation exposure from repeated scans, which itself can increase your cancer risk over time. I'll never forget a story from a man named Robert in Arizona. His daughter bought him a gift certificate for a full body scan at a fancy private clinic. She thought she was giving him peace of mind for his 74th birthday. He went in, they did the scan, and they found a small spot on his lung. The doctors pushed for a biopsy, then surgery. The surgery left him with complications, scar tissue, and months of recovery. Do you know what the spot turned out to be? Old scar tissue from pneumonia he had 20 years earlier. It was never going to hurt him. But the cascade of fear and treatment nearly ruined his retirement years. Here's the American reality. We live in a country where fear sells. The more afraid you are of what might happen, the more money someone else makes. And full body scans are the perfect fear machine. They make you believe that peace of mind comes from technology. But the real peace of mind comes from living your life, staying active, eating well, and trusting your body. Now, I'm not saying CT scans, MRIs, or PET scans don't have their place. They absolutely do, when you have real symptoms that need investigating. If you're coughing up blood, losing weight for no reason, or suffering unexplained pain, then yes, those scans can save your life. But if you're healthy, if you're just living your days, don't let slick advertising convince you to go searching for problems you don't have. Because once you start searching, you'll always find something, and that something can end up stealing your golden years. What's the alternative? Focus on prevention in a way that actually matters. Eat real, whole American foods, fresh vegetables, clean proteins, healthy fats. Stay active, even if it's just a daily walk around the neighborhood or dancing in the kitchen to your favorite oldies. Spend time with family, laugh often, reduce stress. Those are the things that really prevent disease. No 3,000 full body scan can give you what a strong heart, a sharp mind, and a joyful spirit can. And here's one more thing to keep in mind: the more tests you do, the more you start to see yourself as broken. That's the hidden danger. You're not broken. You're alive, you're thriving, you've made it through decades of life. The last thing you need is to be chained to a medical system that sees you as a walking checklist of possible diseases. You're not a disease. You're a person. And after 70, the goal isn't to chase every shadow in your body. The goal is to live fully, to enjoy the time you have, and to make the years ahead the best they can be. Think about it this way: back in the 1950s and 60s, our parents and grandparents didn't have access to all these fancy tests. Many of them lived long, full lives. They worked hard, ate simple foods, and didn't spend every other week at a clinic. Yes, medicine has improved in many ways, and we're thankful for that. But the obsession with over-testing is not progress, it's business. And when you're over 70, wisdom means knowing when to say, enough. I don't need every shiny new test to tell me I'm okay. I know my body and I trust it. So let's recap where we are. We've talked about colonoscopies, PSA tests, and mammograms. Now we've added bone density scans and routine full body scans. Together, these 5 checkups represent the kind of medical overreach that can harm more than help once you're in your 70s. Each of them carries risks: sedation, unnecessary treatments, dangerous medications, or simply the burden of fear. And each of them can take away the very thing you deserve most at this stage of life: peace of mind. But here's the good news. You have the power to choose differently. You don't have to say yes just because someone in a white coat tells you to. You don't have to let fear drive your decisions. You can say, thank you, but no thank you, and focus on what really matters: strength, balance, good food, family, faith, and joy. That's what American seniors have always been about: independence, freedom, and the courage to make your own choices. And as we move into the next part, I'm going to show you how to take this wisdom and turn it into a new way of living after 70. A way that doesn't revolve around tests and fears, but around confidence, clarity, and the kind of health that lets you enjoy every single day you have left. Now that we've walked through the 5 checkups you should think twice about after 70, let's step back and look at the bigger picture. Because the truth is, your health is not defined by tests. It's defined by how you live your daily life, by the choices you make, and by the peace of mind you keep. And if you've lived 7 decades on this earth, you know better than anyone that life is not about chasing fear. It's about living boldly, wisely, and joyfully. Let me tell you something I've noticed about seniors in America. There's a strength in you that younger generations often don't understand. You've lived through wars, recessions, cultural shifts, and losses. You've raised families, built communities, worked jobs that tested your patience and your backbone. You've seen the world change 1,000 times, and through it all, you've adapted. That resilience is what matters more than any test result. And yet, too often, the medical system tries to turn strong, resilient people into fragile patients. They say, you're at risk, you need this test, you need that treatment. But what they don't say is that risk is a part of life. And you already know how to live with risk. You've been doing it your whole life. The real danger at this stage isn't missing a test. It's missing life. It's spending your golden years in waiting rooms instead of living rooms. It's stressing over numbers on a lab report instead of laughing with your grandkids. It's getting tangled in a web of what-ifs instead of enjoying the what-is right in front of you. That's the trap of over-testing, and that's why knowing when to say no is one of the most powerful health decisions you can make. I remember talking with a farmer from Iowa, 78 years old, who put it in words I'll never forget. He said, I'd rather spend my days on the tractor than in a doctor's office. If something's really wrong, I'll know it. But I'm not going looking for problems that aren't there. Life's too short for that. And you know what? He was healthy as could be. He walked with strength. His hands were strong. His laugh was contagious. He didn't waste time worrying about every possible disease. He spent his time living. And that, my friends, is what health really looks like after 70. Now, some people might ask, but isn't it irresponsible to skip tests? What if you miss something serious? That's a fair question, and the answer is balance. Nobody is saying to ignore your body. Nobody is saying to avoid doctors altogether. What I'm saying is that the older you get, the more you need to use wisdom, not fear, to make decisions. If you feel unwell, If you notice new symptoms, if something doesn't feel right, by all means, go get it checked. That's smart. But if you're feeling good, living strong, and the only reason you're getting a test is because some schedule says you should, stop and think. Ask yourself, will this test actually help me, or will it just give me more worry? Will it make me healthier, or will it just make me a patient? The truth is, medicine should serve you, not the other way around. And too often, the system flips that around. Seniors become servants of medicine, running from one appointment to another, keeping track of endless prescriptions, worrying over every little number. That's not health. That's bondage. And you don't deserve that. Not after everything you've given, not after all the years you've lived. You deserve freedom. Now let's talk about what real freedom in health looks like after 70. It looks like knowing your own body. Nobody knows you better than you. You know when you're tired, when you're strong, when something feels off. Listen to that voice inside you. It's wiser than any chart or machine. It looks like eating foods that make you feel alive, fresh vegetables, clean meats, wholesome grains, the kind of foods your parents and grandparents ate before everything was packaged and processed. It looks like moving your body every day, not to punish it, but to keep it strong and steady. It looks like laughing often, because laughter truly is medicine. It lowers blood pressure, eases stress, and keeps you connected to the people you love. And it looks like faith. Faith in God, faith in yourself, faith in the idea that life is meant to be lived, not feared. Let me share another story. A woman named Darlene from North Carolina, 72 years old, told me how she turned her health around without chasing every test. She had been on a cycle of mammograms, bone scans, and checkups that left her exhausted. She felt like she was living in fear of her own body. One day, she decided enough was enough. She told her doctor she only wanted to come in if she had symptoms. She started walking with her neighbor every morning. She started cooking at home again, using fresh ingredients instead of frozen dinners. And she started spending more time with her grandchildren. A year later, she said she felt healthier and happier than she had in a decade. She wasn't constantly stressed about what might be wrong. She was focused on what was right. That's the kind of transformation I want for every senior watching this. And here's the American truth. Health is not just the absence of disease. Health is the presence of joy, of purpose, of strength. It's about waking up and feeling grateful for another day. It's about knowing you can still contribute, still love, still laugh, still live fully. And no machine, no test, no scan can measure that, only you can. Now, I want to give you a piece of advice that may be the most important thing I say today. Don't let fear be your doctor. Fear will always tell you to test more, worry more, do more. Wisdom will tell you to live. Which voice are you going to listen to? If you're 70, 80, even 90 years old, you've already proven something. You've made it. You've survived everything life has thrown at you. You are stronger than you realize. Don't let anyone convince you otherwise. Don't let a system built on profit convince you that you're fragile. You are not fragile. You are seasoned. You're not at the end. You're at a new chapter. And the best chapters are the ones you write for yourself, not the ones written for you by fear and schedules. So here's what I want you to take away. The 5 tests we've talked about: colonoscopies, PSA tests, mammograms, bone density scans, and routine full-body scans are not evil in themselves. But after 70, they often do more harm than good. The risks outweigh the rewards. The fear outweighs the peace. And peace is what you deserve most now. What you should focus on instead is living wisely, eating well, moving often, laughing freely, and loving deeply. That's how you protect your health. That's how you keep your golden years golden. And let's not forget something that runs deep in our American spirit: independence. Our country was built on the idea of freedom, of saying no to control, and yes, to living on our own terms. That spirit doesn't end at 70. In fact, it becomes even more important. You have the right to say no to unnecessary checkups. You have the right to live your life your way. And you have the wisdom to know when enough is enough. Now, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a picture. Imagine yourself 5 years from now, still walking, still laughing, still enjoying the people you love. Imagine yourself free from the endless cycle of tests, free from the constant worry of, what if? Imagine yourself living each day with strength and peace. That's possible. That's your future if you choose to focus on life, not fear. And I want to thank you for spending this time with me today. If this message spoke to you, if it gave you clarity or peace of mind, I hope you'll come back here again. This channel is about you. It's about giving seniors in America the truth, the encouragement, and the wisdom you deserve. So come again, watch more videos, share them with friends and family. Let's build a community of seniors who aren't afraid, who aren't chained to unnecessary tests, but who are living strong, proud, and free. Because you've earned it, and because your best years can still be ahead. So don't forget, skip the fear, live with wisdom, and join me again right here. Until next time, take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and remember the healthiest choice you can make after 70 is to live your life to the fullest. I'll see you in the next video.